Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, wherever you are today. What's today? Today it's March 13th, Wednesday, March 13th, and it's roughly 12:14, 12:15, depending on how you have your clock set up, Eastern Standard Time. This is Dr. Dale. I am Dale. You can call me Dale. I am your emotional intelligence doctor. That's what I'm calling myself because that's essentially what I'm all about. All the conversation is about. So we're gonna turn this vibe music down here. So to each and every single one of you, welcome. I hope that your lunch time is going superb as usual. Make sure that you're having your lunch. You're stopping. You're drinking your water. Make sure you're drinking your water because it's a form of self-care, right? It's a form of self-care and you're taking care of yourself. You are taking in your nourishments for your body. That energizes you. It gives you like, okay, I just had something to eat. I can go again for another couple of hours, right? So please make sure you're taking your lunchtime. What did I have today? Earlier I had some tea and I haven't had lunch yet, but I will as soon as this live is over for sure. And as usual, we're not here for a long time, but we're here for a good time. So thank you so much for being here with me. I come here every Wednesday kind of sharing with you guys on all things emotional intelligence and how it is beneficial for our lives and it is beneficial for our work relationships, our family relationships, our church relationships, all the relationships that you have in your life. And most importantly, it's important because it allows you to get to know the most important person in this world, and that is you. Yep. Yep, that's why I love it. That's why a gazillion other people, yes, I made up that word, a gazillion other people have done research on it. That's why I did my research on it when I did my doctorate. That's why other people, so much so you've seen it, you've probably seen it all over right now, right? It's a hot topic. And it was a hot topic back in, I think it started back in 1940s, 60s or something like that. But it didn't get as much traction as it's been getting in these recent years, right? Emotional intelligence, which is also emotional quotient, which means the same thing. You probably see it as EQ or EI, right, for short. But emotional intelligence, and what that is the ability to be able to understand, to manage, to use your emotions in an intelligent way for you to have healthier relationships with yourself and the people around you, right? My definition is knowing what you know, feeling what you feel, but you do not allow yourself to become overwhelmed, enraged, callous, or ashamed. All feel whatever you feel, whatever feeling you're going through at a particular time. If you're sad, if you're sad, are you sad because an event? Are you sad because you don't feel good with yourself? You're not happy with yourself. Somebody hurt you, or whatever that you need to know where it's coming from, so that way you can know how next time to get ahead of it, right? And to say, okay, I'm going to feel what I feel at this point in time, and I'm going to feel it for a good 30 minutes. I'm going to feel it for a good day, right? And after today, I'm not going to think about this issue or not feel this way or down again until whatever else comes, right? So it's feeling what you feel, knowing what you know without becoming overwhelmed, right? Don't let yourself get stressed out without becoming enraged, right? Which have caused so many people to end up in prison or in jail today, right? Lashing out and killing people and hurting people, without becoming callous, right? Callous not only to other people but to yourself. That negative self-talk, right? And then of course without becoming ashamed. Like you're making yourself smaller. You're like to yourself. Don't, if you can be and do all of, if you can be in your emotions and know whatever it is that you know at whatever particular time in life, and not allow these things to make you any less, or anybody else around you any less, and to make you feel any less or do anything less to anybody else, then you are conscious, right? And that's where we're coming in with self-awareness, which is the bedrock of emotional intelligence. So yeah, so let's get started. The conversation today is about which it has been, we started this last week, about elevating your leadership, right? With your leadership and your relationships, right? And I want to kind of, have the base of this conversation be being in the workplace. Sometimes, sometimes, a lot of times, a lot of times that competitive nature comes up, right? And there's healthy ways to be competitive with your peers, right? And then there's not so healthy ways. Right? They're not so healthy ways. And a competitive leader in the workplace may sometimes prioritize, their own success over the success of the well-being of other people, right? And when you prioritize so much because you want to climb to the top, or you want to climb that ladder, or you want that promotion, or you want to get that project, or you want to be known for this, or you want to get that center attention, I've been there. I know that I've seen it, and I've been there. I've been on the receiving end of wanting to be the person that did all of these things, these great things. And then at the same time, I've been on the other end where somebody did it to me, right? And then I allow it to take me on a whole negative path, and, negative mindset and all this stuff. So that's the conversation I want to kind of lead with today. So I'm saying there are healthy ways to be competitive, right? Where you're not allowing it to be your every waking moment. You're not allowing it for you to hurt other people. You're not allowing it to the point where you're lying and you're cheating and you fraud and all this bunch of stuff. Is just, money is the focus, and then the success of whatever project is the focus. When all of that stuff starts coming into play, then you stop showing up as your best self, right? You stop showing up as your best self. And when that happens, a lot of people end up being and not doing what they need to do when they need to do it, right? And so what happens in the end? The well-being of other people is it starts to hurt. It starts to hurt them. It starts to hurt the people around them. And then they suffer, right? And that can be anything from the behaviors that can be harmful or detrimental to their team members, right? These behaviors can be anything from undermining a colleague, right? Undermining a peer, right? Taking credit for somebody's work. Oh my gosh. I I've I haven't taken credit. I haven't been on that end where taking credit for what somebody else has done, not that I can recall, but I've been on the receiving end of somebody taking work for what I've done. Yes. And that's not always a good thing, right? Because you're like, did he just, did she just, and you're left with, oh, okay. So you're like, am I, should we say something? Are we going to talk about this? He just took credit. You're sitting in the meeting. The whole 9 yard is happening. And you cannot believe that that person just took credit for all of the work that you have done. Being in the workplace, and that competitive nature can take you there. There's healthy ways to be competitive, of course, right? And that's fine. That's okay. That's good, right? But if it's taking you to the point where you're allowing it to prioritize over the success and the well-being of the team or yourself, and you are taking other people's credit, you are undermining your colleagues and your peers and your family and your friends, right? You're creating a cutthroat environment that fosters nothing less than disengagement and distrust. Like nobody wants to be around that kind of energy, right? Nobody wants to be around any of that. Good morning, Midday. How are you doing? So so yeah, you don't want to be in that kind of environment. Who has time for that, right? Who has time for that? You don't want to be around that cutthroat competitive leadership environment, and then taking away and making people feel less, right? Because it's I tell you this one experience that I had. I was in working at this job before, and myself as a manager and other managers worked on this project, and then we had to present it to our supervisor. And then when we presented it to her, she was all good, everything was great, can't believe you guys came up with this is amazing. And then she was gonna present it to her supervisor as a team effort. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. She unfortunately presented it as if it was her. She did that. We just fixed up what she told us what to do. She just gave us a sentence. Hey, can you guys figure out something for this? Because the company's never had, I even forgot what the project was. The company's never had that. So we kind of developed it, created it, researched it, did the whole 9 yard. She took it and said she did it, like her. It wasn't her team. It wasn't, and that started a whole distrust environment with the rest of the team. I looked past it because I know eventually that I wasn't gonna stay there, right? But it started other people that wasn't even thinking about staying there, wasn't even thinking about leaving. They decided they were gonna start looking, because that started a ripple effect of other things, right? So healthy competition, and then not so healthy competition, right? Because if it is going to take you to the point where you're taking advantage of other people and it's causing a whole distrust, when people don't trust you, they ain't got nothing to say to you. And I laugh because it's so real, because there's so many things that when distrust and lies and disengagement, like when all of that stuff is the foundation, so many things spring from it, right? So many things spring from it. And I'm saying that emotional intelligence can play a crucial role in mitigating these negative effects of the having this competitive, fostering more of an empathetic approach, nurturing that relationship, manage not only in the workplace, at home, right? How to even approach certain subjects, knowing when to. For example, let me see, Miss G, let me read what Miss G said here. I had a store manager who took credit for a project and did. She was promoted because of this project too. Didn't change how I operated, but I left that company soon after. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Exactly. And to be honest, this, if I recall, this person that took credit for what we did, they also got a VP promotion. We're at the manager level, and they went from where there was a director to the VP level themselves, and a couple weeks later, and we're looking at like, I can remember the day we all left work, and we were in a parking lot, and we were talking like, and it's funny how the higher up you go, this stuff doesn't go away. Because human nature, right? The people that you have around you, and that's, unfortunately, people are going to be people wherever they go. And to your point, how you operated, you said it didn't change how you operated, but I left the company soon after. I was already disengaged, myself, and I just stick to doing exactly what my job was, and stop doing all of the extra, right? So that took away from me, because I was gun ho, like whatever you needed for the team, and let's do this. And then here what happens, took credit for whatever, and here we are. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. Simple as that. So I'm saying EQ. EQ enables leaders to understand and appreciate the feelings and perspectives of others. It's not about, oh man, I feel sorry for her. That's not what empathy is. That's nowhere near what empathy is. It's pretty much empathizing with by empathizing with the team members. Competitive leaders are able to recognize that the impact of their actions and decisions have on others. Like, you can't be at home. Let's go to the home environment. You can't be at home and say, man, you why you guys so dumb? Like, all you guys are so stupid and just dumb. Can you just guys go read a book, because you have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm not listening because I'm smarter than you guys. Like, if you say that to your kids, to your husband, to your friends, to your I'm not even gonna say your parents, because they're gonna be looking at you cry. And you wouldn't even know when you get like a hit behind your head, yeah, on the side of your head. Bop, you know, for the total disrespect, right? So you can't go around saying things like that to your own family and friends. Why would you want to go do that to somebody else? Like, in the workplace, that's how your actions impact every single thing that you do, wherever it is that you are, impact the people around you, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Sorry to say that, but I'm not sorry. Whether you realize it or not, it's impacting how they perform, how they show up, who they are. Just like how the people around you, like the what is the old saying that says, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. The people that you hang out with the most, if you're at a job and you hang out with those people, you're hanging out with those people 8, 9, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. What do you think you're going to start picking up? And you're interacting with them at lunchtime, you're interacting with them all hours of the day. You're going to start picking up some of their habits and some of the things that they're saying, what they do, right? If you're hanging around them, right? So what happens if you're interacting with people at work, if you're interacting with your spouse at home, your relationships, the conversation, how you act, how you behave, how you show up, what you say, that goes with you, because you take it. You take a piece of everybody that has ever been around you. You take that and then you just go with that, whether it be something good or something bad. You take it with you, right? So that's why I say it's, people, have traumatic experiences in the workplace because of how people have talked to them, how people have treated them, right? They took something from that interaction, right? Because everywhere that we go is where we are, right? Wherever it is that you go, you go. So you got to make sure the people that you are hanging around are only adding value, are only encouraging you, inspiring you, bringing you up, right? If you're constantly listening or being around the people that are bringing you down, what do you think you're gonna do? You're gonna do the same thing to the other people, right? So that's why it's important that I'm like, mental health is a real thing. It's a real thing. You need, every single person in this world needs a therapist. If you don't think you need a therapist, if you should have done, you should, I will always recommend, you don't know what your blind spots are. And if you don't know them, have healthy conversations with people that like, trust, that really allow you to be yourself, where you can actually open up and show who you are, and then ask them those kinds of questions, right? Hey, what do you think about this? Am I this way? Do I really? Can you let me know when I, like, be open to that kind of conversation? And of course, that's a little bit funky feeling, right? Because it's making you put yourself in a vulnerable position, right? Opening yourself up for feedback, right? And there's an emotional intelligence test out there, and I have the link, if you guys are interested, where it allows you to test yourself. I think it's free. I think it's still free. Where it allows you to test yourself, but then you can use the test, that self assessment. You can see what your strengths are from an emotional intelligence standpoint, and then you can take that same test. It has like a PDF version that you can take and share it with 3, 5, 6 people that you trust, that is not going to abuse, the information that's there. And you can share it with them and tell them, hey, assess me on these questions and give me the real deal. I want to know what my blind spots are, because research has shown that your blind spots are what's holding you back, not only as a professional, right, from a professional career standpoint, but also but even more so from a personal level, personal development level, growing yourself. And it starts at the very basic self-awareness. Are you self-aware enough, knowing what you know, feeling what you feel, understanding that what your weaknesses are, right? Understanding, do you do like introspection work? Like, do you do meditation to kind of check in with yourself and say, hey, I feel this about that. Do I like being around this person? Like, ask yourself, do an assessment on simple thing. Do I like getting up in the morning at this time? And if I do like it, why do I like it? Do I like being around this person? This person is always whatever, cursing, whatever it is that you want to put in that blank spot. I don't like being around this person. But why am I hanging around this person? Because do I feel lonely? Do I feel like if I don't hang around this person, I don't have any friends? Like, you have to go that deep. Like, I went through this whole thing for a minute where I was like, man, I just cut all the people around me that was I went through a period of time where I didn't have I didn't have any girlfriends, and I was like feeling sad. And I was like talking to my husband about it, and he's like, I came to the realization, I not cut them off, but I walked away from people that wasn't adding to my life, right? They were making me feel less. They were making me constantly worry, stress. They were making me angry. And and it just didn't add value, right? So I decided that I started having a different conversation. I said, so why don't you do this, or why can't you do this, or why do you always say this to me, and this and that? And I started asking those hard questions and putting them on the spot, and they didn't like it. And I said, well, if you really loved and cared about me, you wouldn't say this, or you wouldn't do this, right? I'm okay with you providing feedback, but that's not what you're doing. You're putting me down. You're disrespecting me. You're making me feel like this and that. And I will say this to them, and they didn't like that feeling. They didn't like me finally speaking up and having a voice in whatever relationship that we had for that amount of time. And I had to reevaluate and kind of go in and say, you know what? Let me be open and let them know this is how I'm feeling, this is who I am now, and this is where I want to walk into. And if they want to come with me, great. And if not, it's also great. She says, evaluating relationships, do they add value? Heck yeah. Just all these kinds of questions, because at the end of the day, Bob Proctor says, I am God's highest achievement. Whatever God is that you believe in, I believe in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And if I am his highest achievement, oh, you best believe I'm going to come. I have to commit and show up with as all in who I am, right? And I don't have to put anybody down. I don't have to disrespect anybody. I can show up as myself authentically, with love, with kindness, with tenderness and vulnerability, and still be somebody with, be even more somebody with, a bad ASS, right? You can show up like that, right? You don't have to be all touchy feely, no, show up as your authentic self, be vulnerable. Like, I'm sharing some really sensitive stuff that I haven't really even talked about with on live, right? And I'm just sharing them right now because I've done the work. I've forgiven myself. I've forgiven them. And you know what? I moved on. That is what it's about. Get rid of all of that stuff from under the rug that's not serving you anymore. Get rid of the maybe even get rid of the rug. I don't get rid of the rug if it's dirty. If the carpet is dirty and it's just washing it and vacuuming it is not working anymore, just get rid of all of it. And just put a brand new rug, sweep under there and get it clean, right? And once you've done it, it's done. You feel lighter. Physically, you feel lighter. Physically, you feel lighter. Your shoulders, your mind, you can focus, you can think, you can make decisions because you're showing up as your true, best, authentic self. And that, my friend, is the best thing you can do for anybody that you are in a relationship with. And the church will say, and the church will say amen 100%. And I think we have 5 more minutes in here. So again, we're not here for a long time, a short time, but we're gonna hear for fun time, right? Just for fun. So just leaving you with that, like assess and reevaluate your relationships and show up. You don't have to be in the competitive nature of taking from people and stepping on people to get what you want to get. You can be that. You don't have to be that to be the best version of you, right? Because it's taking away from other people and it's taking away from you and the relationships in your life as a leader, as a person, as a human being. They're not going to flourish. They're not going to grow, right? Leaders with EQ are adept at managing managing their own emotions and impulses. Like you have an impulse to like, I can't believe she just said that. Oh, sometimes your hands start getting sweating. There's this book, I always talk about this book, The Body Keeps Score. And sometimes when you're in like funky conversations, I was in so many meetings and people just saying things off the cuff, not even being considerate of the people in the room, saying stuff about race, saying stuff about, women and, and men. It's just so many things. And then you sit there, and I used to sit there and not say anything. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. Depending on the environment, I either talk to them aside afterwards, even if they weren't talking to me, or I'm gonna say something. I was like, how could you? Did you realize what you said? What did you mean by that when you said this? So I try to fact find, like my director of HR would say, and kind of put them on notice. Like, you can't go around saying something like that, and it is your due, your responsibility to say something when you see something that is out of order. It is your due. It is your responsibility. There is where is this? I was reading this thing from Bob Proctor, and he says, you are responsible for all the results in your life. You are responsible for your happiness. You're responsible for your health, you're responsible for your wealth. You're responsible for your emotional state. Regardless of what has happened in the past, the future lies ahead with an open slate, waiting for you to control and create a wonderful life for yourself. Stop blaming what others did to you in the past. They did it. It's already done. The best thing you can do is analyze it, review it, forgive them, forgive yourself, and let it go. That's the process. That's the healing process. But you got to at least acknowledge that you have the blind spots and you do have some areas that you can improve on. Once you acknowledge that, you start just weeding out one by one, weeding out one by one and just calling spades a spades. Like, it is what it is. What's already done is done. What your mom did, what your parents, what your friends did, like your boss previous, they did it. Yes. Yes. Nobody's negating that, right? But what we are saying now is heal from that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so very much. So that's how we're going to end this, right? That's how we're going to end this. And you guys know that I'm here every Wednesday, 12:15 to 12:45. And the 27th, the last Wednesday of this month, I'm doing a women's roundtable, it being Women's Month and all. Women's roundtable with amazing 7 individuals that we're going to just sit down and have a conversation about their experiences in the workplace, good, bad, and different, and just can remind you that you're not alone, and how they overcame whatever they overcame, and how you can too, right? And that, one, you're not alone. And that, women, we should be always empowering each other, always, 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 always encouraging, inspiring, empowering each other, because, not because we're women, but because we're great human beings, right? And how we're going to end this with one last minute left. You guys know that feeling that you have when everything in the world is perfect? Everybody's where they need to be. Your bank account is just the right amount that you need it to have. You are overflowing with joy. You are floating in the air like a light feather. You have no worries. Everything is flowing. You feel light. You're smiling from ear to ear, and everything is at peace. That's called love. And I ask that you share that with yourself and with every person you encounter today. So thank you for this conversation, and I'll see you guys next week, Wednesday. Thank you. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for the ones that are going to be gonna log in after and kind of look at this slide this live as well. So be good to yourself, love yourself, and know that without a shadow of a doubt, you can always start. You need to start somewhere, and let today be that day. Bye.